Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and welcome to the Game Week 32 team selection video. The video where I'm going to show you my scores from Game Week 31. I'm going to show you how I'm going to be lining up for Game Week 32 as well as talking a little bit about my strategy. We're going to talk about who I'm going to be using my transfers on. I've got 2 banked transfers, so I have to use a transfer this week. And finally, we're going to talk about who I'm going to be captaining. So it's all about my team today. Hopefully this is interesting to you guys. I'm particularly looking forward to showing you my Game Week 31 scores, so we are going to get on with that in a minute. But guys, if you do enjoy this video, if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing as well, that would be massively appreciated. Really does help out the channel a lot. So massive props to those of you guys who are liking the videos and subscribing and stuff like that. I massively appreciate you guys. You're absolute legends. But without further ado, guys, let's have a look at my Game Week 31 scores. So honestly guys, I have to say, Game Week 31 has been one of my favourite game weeks this season. Honestly, I just watching that Everton versus Burnley game just gave me so much joy, and it really kind of explained what FPL is all about and what FPL should all be about. That excitement and, you know, the passion you can get out of it, and just the enjoyment you can get when something comes off. The joy of a differential pulling through. You know, you can't beat that really, guys. You really can't beat it, and that's exactly what we had with Maxwell Cornet. So I'm going to speak about him first in Game Week 31. 13 points. He's a player who I've had for a while, a player who I've had a lot of faith in for a while. You know, I know if you look at this score, this Game Week score in an individual basis, you'll probably say, oh, Dan, you just got really lucky there with Cornet. But those of you guys who have been watching me for a while have known that I've been banging on about Maxwell Cornet for so long, hyping him up, saying that he's actually a better option than Weghorst. You know, if Cornet was listed as a striker instead of a midfielder, we'd all be going for Cornet just because he's a better option, and perhaps that his minutes recently have been limiting how many points he could get, but he was always ready to explode, and that's why I've been holding on to him. So in that sense, you guys were probably thinking that I was going a little bit mad. You guys probably thought, oh, you know, Dan is crazy for holding on to Cornet and showing this faith in Cornet, but it finally comes off, and the level of satisfaction you get from that is what FPL is all about. When you have faith in a player, when you have passion about a player, and you hold on to them, and you go against the odds, you go against the crowd, and something comes off like this, you just got to back yourself and see what happens, and this is what happened. And as a result, you know, we've made some major gains. We've gone from 415th in the world. That was our Game Week 30 rank. Now, after Game Week 31, we are 159th in the world now. The late title challenge is potentially on. Now, am I realistically going to win FPL? No, of course not. But, you know, I put myself in a position where I could potentially keep one eye on a top 100 finish, maybe even a top 50 finish. We could basically just say, let's see how far we can go from here, because this is a really nice position to be in, and I've been coming up with strategies on how I can improve my rank even more, go against the crowd a little bit even more, and see what I can do, and just see how far I can go. I'm not expecting to come first, definitely not, but, you know, it's nice to think that you potentially have a chance, or at least a chance of getting a decent rank, you know, top 50 or something like that. I mean, how good would that be? But yeah, a few other stars of the show, guys. Doherty obviously did really well, 14 points. That was really nice to see that. His potential is just looking insane right now. Son beat Kane this game week, but that's not going to happen every game week. I think from game week to game week, we're just going to see Son and Kane flip-flapping between one another of who gets the most points, and it's going to probably balance out by the end. So although I got lucky with Son this week and Son beat Kane by a large margin this game week in Game Week 31, it probably flips back the other way in Game Week 32, and then it maybe flips back again in 33. So, I mean, I don't think it's worth thinking about too much, the Son versus Kane debate at the moment. You know, they're just going to flip-flap up and down, and it's going to cause you, depending on who you have, to go up and down on that particular player anyway. Salah disappointing. Ramsdale ended up playing, but still disappointing. Loads of different things went on this game week. It was a pretty crazy one, but what a climax, guys. If you guys owned, you know, a Cornet or a Richarlison or someone like that, or even just had a couple of, you know, players in that game who might have got a return, then you're probably going to be really pleased from that final end to the double game week, which a lot of people kind of wrote off as not a very good double game week, and, you know, there's not really many points to be gained by going for these double game week players, and I kind of agree with that, to be fair, but we ended up we ended up doing pretty well from it, and we've got another double game week for Burnley in just a couple of game weeks time as well, so maybe that's something to be excited about after all. Who knows? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there, but those were my game week 31 scores. I think I did pretty well. I'm pretty happy with where I am. I mean, I'm insanely happy, guys. I'm just so grateful and blessed and privileged to be in the position I am. But we're going to see how far we can push it, and I'm going to show you guys in game week 32 exactly how I intend to do that. So for game week 32, as I say, I've got 2 transfers in the bank, so I have to use one. It is a case of use it or lose it, so we will get to that after I've lined up my team initially, and then we'll talk about what kind of transfers I can make. We've got 0.2 in the bank as well, you know, nothing. So we're pretty much destined to have to do downgrades, if anything, if we are making transfer moves. But there we go. Let's start you off in goal. We have got Ramsdale against Brighton and Hove Albion. I know Arsenal had a really disappointing game against Crystal Palace last game week, but I would try your best not to read into that too much. I know also Arsenal are missing a few players as well. But when we look at this Brighton team, this is a Brighton team that are just not scoring goals. They are really not scoring goals. They, you know, even when they get gifted a penalty, you know, Morpay is still going to miss it. So yeah, it's really difficult for Brighton to find goals at the moment. And Arsenal, even though last game week was a slip up, typically speaking, over the past 4 game weeks, over the past 8 game weeks, whatever kind of, you know, measure of data you want to use, Arsenal have been one of the better defensive teams. You know, certainly well, since the first few game weeks where Arsenal weren't so good. Since then, we've had some really good defensive results. So still keep the faith in Ramsdale. He's still going to be one of the best goalkeepers to have for the remainder of the season. And he's also going to make a few save points, as he always does as well. So Brighton, you know, they're a team that takes a lot of shots. They get a lot of XG, but never capitalise. Not even a lot of XG. They get a bit of XG, but never really capitalise on it because they don't quite have that quality. That's probably going to spell save points for Ramsdale. And, you know, in all likeliness, Arsenal are probably the most odds-on team this game week to actually come away with a clean sheet. So Ramsdale, I think, is a really good goalkeeper to have. Into defence, we have got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, this one is a little bit trickier. You know, we've got Man City away. That is not ideal, right, guys? It's one of the worst fixtures you can possibly imagine, really. But in any case, we know what Liverpool are like. Again, one of the top defences in the league. But also, you can't just think of the Liverpool defenders as defenders. You also have to think of them as, you know, midfielders or forwards. You kind of have to envisage these players as not being just defenders, because they're not just that. You know, these are top quality attackers. You know, they're competing with the best attackers in the game, in FPL, in terms of their attacking stats. So not only do you have that potential of a clean sheet, no matter how slim you think that might be, not only was that potential for the clean sheet, but they have got just as good chances of getting assists and scoring goals and getting extra points for scoring goals, as well as just as the clean sheet points. So there's so much to be had here. So even in a difficult game, you know, if Liverpool, even if they, you know, draw 1-1, or draw 2-2 or something like that, or, you know, lose 2-1, there's nothing to suggest that the one goal that Liverpool score, if assuming they do score, there's nothing to suggest that a Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't going to be involved in something like that, you know? So that's kind of the way you've got to think about it, and don't just rush out all of your Liverpool defenders for this game week. Same with Man City defenders, I suppose. Don't rush out these players just for one game week. I don't think it's worth it. I still think you can back them and have that faith in them. So, yeah, I still have a reasonably high degree in confidence in Trent, which is why I'm also going to be starting Robertson. And you never know. There could be a clean sheet here. You never really know. You know, you've got to be in a position to get lucky. You've got to put yourself in a position to get the result right. Trent could keep a clean sheet, and if he does, that means Robertson keeps a clean sheet, and we've got clean sheets all round, and everyone is very, very pleased indeed. So that is something that is, you know, it's very possible. It's very possible that we can get a clean sheet, and even if we don't, if Liverpool are scoring goals, you know, where do you think they're going to come from? Who do you think is going to be creating the chances? Who do you think is going to be, you know, taking a large amount of the shots that Liverpool will have? You know, the shots that Liverpool take in that game against Man City. Who do you think is going to be taking them? Yes, obviously the 3 forwards, but there's also going to be a lot of shots taken by Trent and Robertson. So these are players that even in a difficult game, you just back them. You know, if you've got a KDB or a Salah or a Kane in your FPL team right now, and they play a really difficult game, are you going to bench them for that game? Of course you're not. And you have to kind of take the same attitude with Trent and Robertson, I think, in my opinion, because they are just as worthy FPL assets, really. You just play them in every single game, no matter what. And it's the same situation with Cancelo on the opposite end of the spectrum. So I suppose you guys are probably guessing, I'm probably hoping for a 0-0 draw here. That would be pretty nice for me. But no, at the same time, like I say, it's not just about the clean sheets for these guys. And that's kind of the way FPL has gone this season, you just go for those heavy hitting fullbacks and you hit them at the right time, and you can get some really good points there. Again, same situation as you never know. Liverpool could keep a clean sheet against Man City. Man City could very easily keep a clean sheet against Liverpool. It is well within the realms of possibility, and if so, we're going to get clean sheet points. And like we were saying with Trent, like we were saying with Robertson, Cancelo is a player who will get attacking returns, and maybe he hasn't been performing well. His attacking stats haven't actually been too amazing recently, Cancelo, if I'm completely honest. Some games he's been pretty decent. Other games, not actually being as advanced as you might hope. The shots have been a little bit, from distance and stuff like that. But he's still looking really good in terms of, creating passes and stuff like that, and dribbles and take-ons and stuff like that, which contributes to the bonus point system as well, which is pretty good. But overall, we keep him. We keep him in the starting 11. Who are you going to back instead of Cancelo? It's unfortunate that Liverpool play Man City, but that has to happen at some point in the season. And I don't think you can revolutionise your team just for one game week because these two teams happen to play each other. That's my opinion on that one. Anyway, maybe you guys feel slightly different. But we have got some players that aren't in that City versus Liverpool game. Don't worry, there are some players from other fixtures as well. We have got Doherty here, who plays against Aston Villa away. Aston Villa have been pretty poor recently. Haven't actually scored too many goals recently either, to be fair. I think, who did they lose to? They lost to Wolves, obviously, Arsenal, they lost to West Ham. That's 3 losses in the bounce for them. And I think they've only scored a couple of goals during that time as well, which is not too good. It's not really too impressive, particularly considering that West Ham have actually been one of the weaker defences of late as well. So, I would say that the chances of Doherty clean sheet is pretty good. Spurs' defensive acumen looks not bad. I know they have been keeping a hell of a lot of clean sheets, but they're looking not too bad in defence. But what's more important is how advanced these fullbacks for Spurs are playing. They're right up the pitch. They are crossing to one another, playing the perfect Conte ball system. And that really, really benefits these Spurs fullbacks, I think. And, Doherty in particular has just been playing so well and, playing so advanced. He's become nailed on. You can still get him for such a cheap price. I honestly think he's going to be one of the most important players to have for the remaining games of this season. I mean, look at these fixtures. Aston Villa, Brighton, Brentford, Leicester, all in a row. There's going to be huge points to be gained here. Spurs have great fixtures. Spurs are in great form. Players like Doherty, Son, Kulusevski, Kane, these players are in such good form. You just got to have them and, hope they do well. Even if it means not going for double game week players, you kind of have a feeling that these Spurs players are going to beat the double game week players even in a single game week, particularly over these fixtures, particularly with so much to play for. Champions League is very much back in Spurs' hand, which makes them even more important assets to own. We are going to go into midfield now though, and guess what fixture we're back to? Well, we've got Salah, so we're back to the fixture of Man City versus Liverpool. I'm kind of bored of talking about that fixture now, to be honest, but, what I will say, and I know a few people are thinking of selling Salah, I'm not personally brave enough to do that. I do think Salah is going to come good. His underlying stats are still looking pretty good to me. Yes, he has not been in perfect form. He has kind of looked a little bit off it, but it's only going to take a moment for that to come back. He's not going to be bad forever. We don't know when he is going to suddenly be good again. It could be as early as this game week. I know it's a game against Man City, and people will say that's such a tough game. Earlier on in the season, when Liverpool played against Man City, he got a goal and an assist. So a player of top quality. This kind of goes back to what I was saying before. A player of the highest caliber, of the highest quality, can and will score against any opposition. It doesn't matter how hard the game is. You look at the Champions League this week, for example. Karim Benzema, one of the best players in the world football at the moment, plays what would be a seemingly difficult game against Chelsea. No one's backing a top player to get a hat trick against a team like Chelsea or a team like Paris Saint-Germain. A few weeks before, and he gets a hat trick in each game because the top players will perform even in the toughest games, and that is what I think you've got to try and remember when it comes to holding a player like Salah. Fair enough, he has been out of sorts, but he could come back at any time. He's got a good record against Man City, including this season, and I think there is every chance of him coming back to his best in this game. So I will personally be holding on to him. He's not going anywhere in my team, and I have the faith that he is going to come back good again. I'm confident in that one. Moving on, we've got Heung-min Son, again, back to our Spurs guys. Aston Villa have been pretty weak recently. I mean, to be fair, Aston Villa don't have anything to play for anymore. They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get European football. I don't really know what's going on. Maybe their players have lost a little bit of motivation or something, or maybe they're just biding their time till next season and I'm just going to go from there. I don't know. It's a little bit early for them to have downed tools, and, you know, these are professionals. I don't think they've given up or anything like that, but it just certainly seems like Aston Villa are kind of in a bit of a lull at the moment. So, yeah, I'm predicting that Spurs will win this game and probably score a couple of goals as well. So, yeah, Spurs players very much at the front of the mind, particularly when City and Liverpool are playing against each other. You kind of have to look elsewhere for where you're going to hope for the big points. And Spurs is certainly a team that I think could be involved in that. So, yeah, Son, like I say, Son versus Kane, it's going to flip back and forth every single game. We don't worry about it. If you only have one of Son and Kane, then just stick with the one you've got. I mean, there's every chance of Kane absolutely dominating Son for points this game week. And the same the other way around. There's every chance that Son will dominate Kane again for points. We don't know what's going to happen. They're both really good players. They're both really good FPL assets. So don't worry about it and just hope for the best. I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing. I know it doesn't sound very professional for me to just be sitting back and hoping for the best. That's kind of what I've got to do. I was speaking a lot about these players, so I'm going to try and rush through the final few players. We've got Saka against Brighton. Brighton are kind of not playing too well at the moment. They've been kind of off it for a long while now. They're not the same defensive unit as they were before. Arsenal are going to be very keen to get back and get a good result after the loss last game week, because Arsenal really do need to maintain pressure on that top 4 position to get back into the Champions League. They have to do it. This is the golden opportunity for them to do it this season. And Brighton is what should be a game that they should win comfortably. So pretty confident there. We've got Kulusevski, a great cheap FPL asset. He's not quite in the same bracket as Son or Kane. And, you know, I don't even think he's quite in the same bracket as a Doherty, just because Doherty has more ways of getting points, more avenues of getting points. Kulusevski seems to be more of a creator, you know, not really taking as many shots in those dangerous areas. Obviously can't get clean sheets because he's the midfielder. So, yeah, I would say he's the weakest of the Spurs players that I have, but still a very strong player to have, like, definitely. And for his price, you can't really do too much better than that. And we're going to finish off the midfield with last week's hero, Maxwell Cornet, away game against Norwich. Obviously, Norwich is a really good game. What I liked about Burnley last game was because it was the fact that you very rarely see Burnley in a situation where they're actually going out to win a game rather than to just not lose a game. And if we see another one of them, you know, Cornet, man of the match performance last game week, he's not going to get dropped out of the team. He is clearly a crucial player to Burnley's survival. And if Burnley are going to survive, they are going to have to win against teams like Norwich. This is crucial to happen. So, yeah, if we get a decent attacking performance, Cornet is, in my opinion, Burnley's best player. If we get another strong attacking performance, him taking shots, him creating, him taking those set pieces, I think we could have another good score from Cornet. So I'm pretty happy with him to go with him and put the faith in him once again. And yeah, hopefully another massive celebration at the weekend as we celebrate more Cornet points. Fingers crossed anyway. Let's see what happens. And we got Lacazette in the attack there as well against Brighton. So another Arsenal player against Brighton. Lacazette kind of almost as good as Saka in terms of expected points, you know, shots taken, chances created and stuff like that. He's been kind of a little bit off it in terms of goal scoring recently, but we know that he will take on shots. He will get the opportunities to score goals. He will also be creating a little bit and laying off passes and stuff to those runners in behind, you know, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, whoever who might be taking the shot. So there's lots of avenues for points there, and also penalties as well is another avenue for points against Lacazette. So if you're expecting Arsenal to score a few goals against Brighton, which I think you probably would, then you would hope that Lacazette is going to be involved in that. Onto the bench, guys, we have got De Gea against Everton. I just prefer Ramsdale against Brighton for this particular matchup. I've got Roberts against Norwich. I've got Weghorst against Norwich. Those two players left over from last game week. Obviously, the double game week last game week, and I've got them again for this game week. Not really too confident in them. I really was not too impressed with Burnley's defence. Even though they just conceded from penalties, they were conceding a lot of chances, and they do concede a lot of chances every game week. Until Ben Mee is back, I'm not really too confident in the Burnley defence, so I'm happy to bench Roberts. And Weghorst is just, you know, he's just not been playing well at all. We have to be real. We kind of have to just accept. I mean, we never expected that much from Weghorst, but he still managed to disappoint us. We expected 4 points from him, which was going to be a bad score, and he gave us 3. So he never fails to disappoint. He just doesn't take that many shots on. He doesn't really get himself in the right position. He's for a man of his size, he is pretty invisible. He's quite bizarre. And we've got Broja, who is, of course, cannot play against his parent club, Chelsea. So he goes last on the bench by default. Guys, we have to make a transfer this game week. It's difficult because I look at my team and I actually quite like it for this game week. There's not many players I would want to take out. Like I said, I want to play Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, Salah. I want to play all of those guys because because they're great players and they will perform in any given game week. So I'm not going to take them out no matter what. And then all of the other players, Ramsdale, Doherty, Son, Saka, Kulusevski, Cornet, Lacazette, all have great fixtures. In fact, I even have a couple of good fixtures on the bench as well. So everyone looks good. Everyone looks good to go. So where do I use my transfer? Well, this is where the not the problem arises. This is where the benefits of planning ahead kind of, I've planned a little bit too well ahead in a way. Am I going to burn a transfer? No. We're going to use this, and we're going to use the momentum of planning ahead to plan even further ahead by using one of our free transfers to bring in a player that is not for this game week, but is actually going to be for future game weeks. So, guys, next game week, we have got a double game week. So I can use my spare transfer, not just spare transfer, but spare transfer. I can use that on trying to get ahead of the curve and try and get in a player nice and early for next game week. Now, there's two players I'm kind of thinking of getting. The first is Fabian Shah. Newcastle have got a nice double game week next game week, and Shah has not only been playing for a fairly decent Newcastle defence, but also he's on set pieces, he's charging up the field randomly, he is good being on the other end of set pieces as well. There's just quite a few avenues for Shah to get points, and I know I keep saying that phrase, but there's just so many ways that Shah can get points, not just including clean sheets. And the other player I want is Schmeichel. I do want Schmeichel. He has obviously got 3 double game weeks between now and the end of the season. He is one of Leicester's only nailed on players, and the double game weeks that Leicester have, all of them are looking like really, really nice, really tasty double game weeks as well. I think they play Everton twice in their double game weeks. They got Burnley, no, not Burnley. Who is it? Norwich in one of their double game weeks. They've got Newcastle in one of their double. They just got good double game weeks. So I'm going to bring in. For the purpose of this video. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Schmeichel for De Gea. I free up a little bit of cash. I'm not going to play De Gea again for this season anyway. Schmeichel, on the other hand, I really, really like him because he's got 3 double game weeks. One of them is a double game week where Ramsdale doesn't have a double game week. The other 2 double game weeks are at the same time as Ramsdale. And basically, I've got to make a decision in either game week 33 or game week 36 when I'm going to play my bench boost. And by having Schmeichel, when I play my bench boost, I will have 2 goalkeepers with double game weeks. And that kind of fixes that scenario. That sorts my bench boost out. Whenever I have to use it, I'm going to want Schmeichel for my bench boost. He's got fabulous double game week fixtures. He has an extra double game week, and also I just think he's just going to be the perfect bench boost goalkeeper to have. Pretty cheap as well, pretty decent price to be fair. So yeah, absolutely loving that one. So yeah, Schmeichel is going to be my planned transfer, I suppose, for game week 32. Not because I'll be playing him this week. He will remain on my bench, but next game week potentially he does come in. That's kind of planning for the future. That's what we're trying to do up in here. So there we go. Quickly on captains, guys. We're going to put the captain's armband on Son, just because. Look, I know I said I like going for big players even in the difficult games, but you're not going to captain them in there. You don't have that much faith in them that you go as far as to captain them. So Salah, Trent, Robertson, and Cancelo, they're not going to be captained. I've got two premium midfielders or premium attackers, should I say. One is Salah, one is Son. Most of the time I'm going to captain Salah when it doesn't look like a good idea to captain Salah. And to be fair, Man City away is if there's one game week in the whole season to not captain Salah, it's Man City away, right? So we are going to go for Son against Aston Villa. Like I say, Aston Villa not playing so well, and Spurs playing really, really well. So yeah, I think there's a good matchup there, and Son, with the form that he's showing at the moment, I think we can have a lot of faith and confidence that he's gonna play pretty well again, because he seems to be back on it, doesn't he? We'll put the vice captain on Salah, however, just because he is Salah. You know, even in a difficult game, he's my other premium midfield. He's my other premium players. My captain options are Salah and Son. So let's just put the vice captain on Salah there, and that pretty much rounds up my team. That's what it's going to look like. No changes in the starting 11. One transfer used to set up for future game weeks. Forward planning. Good fixtures other than the Liverpool and City guys. I like it. I like the look of this team. I think I'm just hoping really, not necessarily to have a massive boost in rank. I'm not expecting to go into the top 100 this game week or anything like that. But, you know, if I can maintain, get a small green arrow, very small, very small green arrow, I would actually be happy with that. I'd be pretty content with that. Anything small, I would be over the moon with, and I think this team is the team to do it. I just got to hope that Kane doesn't outscore Son, but who knows what's going to happen there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please do leave a like. Really helps out the channel. I do massively appreciate it, guys. And, you know, one like to spur me on to win FPL. I'm going to need, like, millions of likes in that case, because it's just not going to happen. But it's fun to dream, right, guys? It's fun to dream. Yeah, guys, we have got no more videos this week. This is the last video of the week. We've got 2 streams tomorrow. We're going to do a preview stream kind of around midday UK time, and then we'll do a deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline. But don't forget, I have made loads of videos so far this week, so do go check them out. 100 experts, buy, sell, keep, avoid, and there was a strategy stream earlier on in the week as well. So go check them out. Plenty of good FPL content to help you guys out with your own teams. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I've got to say today, guys. So thank you once again for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.